Day after the Saints and the Commanders game, and where are we? We are on the Saints subreddit. This is a dangerous place to be, ladies and gentlemen. The day after, the day before, we're going to go through the subreddit and see how Saints fans are handling everything that we saw against the Commanders in an absolutely insane game. A lot of talking points here. Obviously, a lot of Jake Haener talk, Spencer Rattler talk, the two-point conversion, a lot of that kind of stuff. So we're going to break it all down here today. I do like to go in here every once in a while and just see, the pulse of the city, the pulse of the fan base. As the face of the franchise, I think I do owe it to those on the subreddit to go take a look. So I'm going to go ahead and go through, and we'll talk about each and every one. Well, not each and every one, but we're going to talk about quite a few. All right. Let's go right into the post-game thread first. Let's just go right to it, right? And see what's popping off. I'm pretty okay going for two there. Had to ruminate on it. Either you win it or you lose it, but no one else can get hurt, and it's over, said and done. Not in love with the actual play call, but it is what it is. Miller time was good to see. If he stays healthy, I didn't catch what Kamara hurt. Anyone got that info? So let's talk about the two-point conversion. I'm kind of surprised, honestly, about the back and forth with the 2 points. I mean, I think I honestly do not believe it's even a question. I don't think it's even a question if you should go for it or not. I had someone in my comment section say that, and this is a quote, said they wouldn't go for two because they would rather risk it on winning the coin toss. Like, guys, it is the simplest math in the world, okay? Let's just pretend you're doing it that way. Let's just pretend you're focused on the coin toss, and the coin toss is 50-50, all right? Do you think you have a 50% or better chance to get the two-point conversion? At the bottom level, a two-point conversion is 50-50. Like, on league average is a little above 50%, but let's just say blanket 50% chance. If you do it that way, just those two things, which that's not even the right math, right? Like, winning the coin toss doesn't win you overtime. Like, winning the coin toss, think about it like this. Let's say I guaranteed you, okay? Let's say I guaranteed you won the coin toss and got the ball first, all right? You're still trying to go down the field and score a touchdown. You're still trying to do what they are trying to do on the two-point conversion. So you would rather, instead of trying to get 3 yards in the two-point conversion, you would rather win the coin toss, get the ball further down the field, and try and do a full drive to score. Like, in what universe is that better than just getting the 3 yards? It sucks, like, that we didn't get it, but it's crazy, this whole kick the extra point, go to overtime, where you either have to win a coin toss or hold Jaden Daniels to no points, hold him to a field goal, because if they score first, you're cooked, or you get the ball first and you have to go down and score a touchdown. It just makes no sense at all. It just goes to show you, how risk averse some people just naturally have been when it comes to, like, football. Where in the mind, it is still like punt, kick a field goal, kick the extra point, don't go for it. That's still ingrained in some people, and it just doesn't make any sense at all. No matter how you slice it, no matter what math you're doing, no matter how you're looking at it, it is absolutely correct to go for it on the two-point try. Now, the play call, yeah, you can talk about the play call all you want. The execution, you can talk about that all you want. But the idea to go for it, no doubt about it. No doubt. Especially when you factor in that Kamara was hurt. All right. Love that we trusted Rattler to pass on fourth, and love that we trusted him to throw on the 2-point as well. I mean, again, like, I saw someone else that were like, why didn't we give it to Jamal Williams on the 2-point conversion? I trust him to run it in. If Jamal Williams would have ran in the 2-point conversion, that would have been the longest carry I think he's had in 2 years. So, tanking with style, y'all, not even mad about it. This is another thing where I think, like, tanking, is a weird term, because tanking means it's like on purpose, or it's a decision made from the top to the bottom. The Saints are organically tanking. Like, if you're starting Jake Haener and MVS and Cedric Wilson is you're 1-2, then you are organically tanking. You're just not putting out a high level roster because of circumstances like, in our case, injury, where, I mean, again, you're talking about Spencer Rattler, Kendra Miller, because Kamara was hurt, Spencer Rattler, Kendra Miller, MVS, Cedric Wilson, Dante Pettis. That's an organic tank. Like, it's tanking in this situation is just what we should say is that the Saints roster is absolutely depleted. Rattler's first game starting with the backup O-line shouldn't summarize him as a player. Just imagine with a healthy offense, I know he'll do great things. Tough for Haener, however. Yeah, I mean, this is like directionally right because I don't think it's too soon. Like, even after this game, it's too soon to really know anything about Rattler. You know, like, in this one, yeah, he had a relatively healthy offensive line, but again, you're missing Kamara, you're missing Olave, you're missing Rashid. Like, a lot's, you know, it's too much to really know for anybody besides Jake Haener. Like, Haener is one of those situations where watching that was like watching. I mean, it must have been like 2 plays or 3 plays in. I looked to the guy I was watching the game with, and I said, "This is Ian Book 2.0. Like, this is just the same as Ian Book, where you can tell immediately. You can tell, like, this guy should not be on the field. This guy is a danger to himself. Get him off the field." And Haener, you know, it's hard to watch. And I've thought about the Haener thing. I thought about it last night, and I thought about it this morning, where it is hard to watch, like, someone, I don't want to sound dramatic, but it's hard to watch somebody's, because, like, this is 2 years in the making. Like, Haener is not a rookie. So this is 2 years in the making. This is the interview we watched him do before the game. This is a full week of prep. This is the, you know, practicing with the ones. This is watching the film. This is going through the game plan. This is flying your family in, getting the box seats. You know, Carr gave him 10 tickets or whatever to the box. You know, having your family there, and then you go out there and you have what I would consider one of the worst performances by a starter in NFL history. I mean, it was that bad. It was worse than anything we could have imagined. And, like, this is how bad it was. Like, this is the EPA. This is it. This is Jake Haener. Like, he was minus 0.79, which is the lowest recorded of the season until Sam Howell. Sam Howell ended up playing because of Geno Smith's injury in Sunday Night Football. His was like negative 0.86, but a negative 26.8 on completion percentage above expected. That is crazy. I mean, these are some crazy time numbers. Crazy numbers. It's horrible. Absolutely horrible. So however bad you think Haener was, he was worse. He was probably worse. Let's see here. One thing about the Rattler, so a lot of this, and this is what I've been saying, is that if the Saints continue to lose, then all of this is kind of like for naught. Because the idea that, okay, we learned something about Rattler, the idea that Rizzi showed guts or whatever, or the team showed this, or Dante Pettis showed this, or Kevin Austin proved this. If the Saints keep losing and we bring in a new coach and a new offensive team, a new offensive staff, none of this is going to matter because you're not going to come into this game like Rattler was good in this game, for sure. But if Mike Vrabel is the next coach of the Saints and he brings in a whole new offensive staff, they're not going to care about this. They're not going to care about a 20-19 loss where Rattler goes 10 for 21 for 135 yards and a touchdown. We know Rattler was good. Like, we watched it. We understand, like, yeah, this was a pretty good performance, sure. But this is not going to factor into the long-term trajectory of an incoming coaching staff. They're going to bring in their own guys. They're going to look to draft somebody. They're going to look to sign a free agent. They're not going to have the same plan for the future as we do right now. So I've been saying this, and I'll say it again. If you want Rattler to be the future, if you want Rizzy to be the future, if you like what you're seeing currently, and you think we can develop this, you better be voodooing. You better have your soap dolls or whatever, your prayer circles and your incense, that Darren Rizzy and Clint Kubiak are back. Because if they're not back, all of this pseudo development that we're seeing is going to completely go up in smoke. Completely go up. And I know it's not guaranteed, but I would say 90% chance or higher if a totally new staff comes in, Rattler is not going to be part of their plan. That's just not how we saw it with the Bears, where a new staff comes in, Justin Fields is out. The new staff comes in, they're like, this isn't our guy. We didn't draft this guy. We had nothing to do with him. And the Bears have a whole lot more invested in Justin Fields at that point than the Saints do in Spencer Rattler. So, time is a flat circle, but if we look at past kind of evidence, that's what will happen to Rattler as well. All right. A rookie takes time to develop. 3 games isn't enough. Even Haener, he only got half a game. That's not enough to know what he can do, but since Rattler's performing well, we should go with him if he's healthy. Directionally agree. You can't give up on someone early, and if there's something there. I think Haener was bad enough that you do kind of give up on him. You do kind of say, if we really develop the hell out of him, we may be able to develop him to a borderline backup quarterback level player. Maybe borderline third string. Probably not even a rosterable player. So if that's the case, why even roster him? Why even waste time developing him? It was that bad. Rattler, there is something there. Okay, yeah. We could certainly develop him into maybe a starter. We could certainly there is some promise there. Okay. So directionally, I think it's kind of right, but Haener had a Washington player in his face in every play. This is incorrect. I mean, I think as the analytics come out, you're going to see that a majority of the sacks that Haener took were his fault. And sacks are not all created equal, just like turnovers. I'm not saying the offensive line is the best ever, but I would say Haener took a lot of sacks that he didn't have to take. How on earth do they think Jake Haener is better than Rattler? Yeah, I mean that's something that was something that I was really confused about, because who is doing the evaluation? Unless Haener just completely puked all over his own shoes, who is doing the evaluation that is watching Jake Haener for 2 years? Think about how many reps that is. You are watching practice, you're watching training camp, you're watching OTAs, you're watching preseason, you're watching walkthroughs, you're watching everything. You're in the room with him, you are traveling with him, you are talking to him on a day-to-day basis. Unless he just got out there and the lights were too bright and he completely fell apart, how the hell did anybody that's part of this, how did they see him and be like, you know what? Let's see what we got in the kid. Let's see what we got in him. I mean, I'm sure if you've played at any level of a team sport, whether it's Little League baseball or junior high football or or whatever, high school football, there's always someone on the team who it's you can just kind of tell, this guy doesn't have it. They just don't have it. They're not going to have it. They're trying, but they just don't have it. No coach is you know what? Maybe we should give old Craig a chance to play quarterback. It's brother, Craig he can barely even complete a pass. I don't think so. This was a complete failure in the evaluation process, and whoever's watching Haener, we made the right call to go to Rattler in the second half, and kudos, but whoever decided to play Haener or start Haener or whatever, unless, like I said, unless Haener showed something and then he just was completely vomited on himself, and if that's the case, then it's even worse for Haener. It's probably good that we ended up losing for draft position, but what's even better is that we saw Rattler give our offense some life. He could have a future on this team. Yeah, I mean, I just kind of talked about this, but this is a complete fallacy. what's even better is that we saw Rattler give our offensive life. He can have a future on this team. It's completely irrelevant unless Rizzy and Kubiak are back. But the Sudoku puzzle is starting to get to the point to where not all of this can be true. For me, that was a win. For me, that was a win. We keep draft position. Rattler looks like the future. Yeah, I mean, again, like this just isn't it. You know, like this is not seeing the forest through the trees. This is being incredibly short-sighted and kind of having blinders on. Honestly, it's kind of having blinders on of like how things work and how things just operate in an NFL team and a structure, and especially with a lot of turnover. I mean, it's just crazy to think the direction that we're going. The direction we're going is towards an overhaul of the coaching staff. That direction cannot be parallel with Spencer Rattler as the future. So they cannot both be correct. Rattler looks like the future. Rattler looked good with a functional offensive line. Let's see. All right, let's go out of the post-game thread. Let's go back into the subreddit. We should be looking beyond the final score. I'm so surprised by the negative reactions to yesterday's game against the Commanders. We were 7.5-point dogs. We have a 5th-round backup showing he can compete and play hard with confidence and make throws. We have an interim coach getting the absolute most out of many backup players and clearly improving the culture every week. We have a second-string running back going hard on every run. We have a bounce-back performance from an underperforming D-line sacked the hell out of one of the best running quarterbacks in the league. I'm so ready to run this thing back next year with Rizzy. With a Rizzy-led off season, healthy starters, fresh crop of draft picks, and more. Yeah, I mean, if it was up to me, I would probably run it back with Rizzy and Kubiak. I just don't know if that's going to happen. Because I do think you've seen a lot from Rizzy. I think you've seen a lot from Kubiak. I think things have been really trying and hard this year because of the injuries and whatever, but I just don't know if that's going to be the answer. Until we know what's going to happen with the front office and stuff, it's hard to say, or not the front office, but until we know what the front office is going to do, it's very difficult to have a lot of hope in this like Rizzy idea. I think he has been good, and I think this is one of those games where it just feels like the Saints season. It feels like every single game, if everything was equal and everything was perfect, the Saints would win. But it feels like if one thing is off, the Saints lose. You know, like this game. If we have Rattler starting the entire game, we probably win. If Carr is not injured, we probably win. But we had Haener play the first half, we lose by 1. Philadelphia. It's like if the 3rd and 16 doesn't happen, we probably win. If Eric McCoy doesn't get hurt, we probably win. The Falcons game. If the career-long field goal doesn't happen, we win. If the pass interference doesn't happen, we win. If Rasheed doesn't muff the punt, we win. If Carr's pick 6 is just dropped or falls to the ground, we win. You know, there's so many spots where it's like, if Taysom was healthy in this game, we probably win. If Taysom was available for this one play, we probably win. And it's like the Saints, it's so much harder for the Saints to win for some reason. It's like everything is stacked against the Saints, and they need everything to go perfect. And it's very frustrating as a Saints fan. You know, it's very frustrating where it's like one tiny mistake or one random occurrence or one random injury or whatever, and everything goes into complete chaos. I apologize to Rattler. Rattler has proved me wrong. Yeah, we lost, but if Rattler started, I think we would have won. He showed everything that I needed to see out of a young quarterback and proved yet again it was a DA issue. Also, to the guy that got the Rattler jersey, I'm sorry for making fun of you. Rattler is capable and a good chance to be our future if we get more games like this. Rattler was good. I know I showed the Haener EPA. Rattler's was plus 0.37, so he was good. He was good. I mean, small snap share, but if you're wondering why if you're wondering why Jake Haener isn't on this list, this is a minimum of 15 dropbacks. Haener had 10. So Rattler was good. You know, Rattler, I mean, again, like long run, you know, these like super small samples don't really mean much. Like you look at, you know, Jane Daniels was plus 0.12. Mason Rudolph was plus 0.46. Is Rudolph better than Goff? No, right? Like, is Rudolph better than Hurts? No. It just goes to show you, like, kind of on a game per game basis. So you got to kind of take it with a grain of salt. But Rattler was good, like, no doubt about it. He was better than the stats show. 10 for 21, 135, efficient. He was good. Certainly gave life. No doubt about all that. Let's see. Jake Haener, y'all saying Rattler played his first games with the backup O-line are wrong. He played with the backup to the backups O-line. Yeah, true. I mean, in a lot of those games, like Connor McGovern is not a backup center. Connor McGovern was a backup center. The backup center, think about this. The center was Eric McCoy. The backup center is Shane Lemieux. The backup to Lemieux is Cesar Ruiz. Then it was McGovern, but McGovern wasn't on the team. So McGovern then becomes pretty much like a practice squad backup who got elevated to play center. So you could really say that Connor McGovern was a backup, backup Lemieux, backup Ruiz, backup is probably Patrick at that point. So he's like a backup, he's like a fourth string or fifth string backup. That is crazy. And he wasn't the only one, so. Oh, and it was against the Chargers, Broncos, and Bucks. Why do coaches love to call rollout plays when the game is on the line? Cardinals fan here. I was hoping you guys beat the Commanders. Yeah, I mean, the play call, I thought it was whatever. I thought it was fine. I thought I didn't hate it. Like, the idea of, like, moving the pocket, whatever, fine. Like, the idea of moving the pocket is to make sure the quarterback has a clean pocket instead of he's just sitting there. The play is supposed to be really fast. So if the quarterback is going with the play, then it's a shorter distance for the ball to travel. It's a shorter distance for the play to develop. Like, if he's sitting back in the pocket waiting for the play to develop, that's obviously slower than if he's moving with it. So I understand the reason of moving the pocket, but yeah, I mean, was it my favorite play of all time? No. Like, I think you can do the same thing without the design. Let's see. My heart while watching the first half. God, I don't know when the peaks were. The first half, I mean, should have just been a complete downward spiral. Why the runoff? Yeah, this is pretty crazy. So there was some weird clock stuff going on with the Saints game. So we had, obviously, the third quarter where it was like 4 or 5 seconds. The clock was at 0. They allowed them to kick the field goal. They missed it, and they made it. And then at the end of the game, there was a 4-second situation where the Saints got the pass off to Foster at the 1. They run up to spike it. The clock stops at 9 seconds for 4 seconds and then starts again. So the Saints benefited from the last one. We might not have got the playoff if it would have happened appropriately. But it is absolutely insane that the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry, one of the biggest companies in the world, and they're letting stuff like that happen, like clock operators and game clock or whatever. Like, they gotta shore that up. If that happens in the Super Bowl, oh my God. Some people said we did really well in defense today, but I feel like we honestly were pretty bad a lot of the game. We gave up 20, and we shouldn't have given up like 2 more plays for touchdowns that Daniels missed on. The sacks were nice, but Washington should have put up over 30 and put the game away. Our near comeback shouldn't have even happened. Washington's own penalties hurt them more than we did on some of their drives. This is kind of a crazy take. I mean, the defense was really good. Like, the fact that we had whatever it was, 10 sacks or 9 sacks is insane against someone like Jaden Daniels. The fact that they had 40 minutes of time of possession and they only had 20 points with 4.4 yards per play. Like, again, the average YPP is 5.1. So 4.4 yards per play is well below average. And you did it for 40 minutes. That is a ton of time for the defense to be on the field for 74 plays for an offense as good as this. For Jaden Daniels to only have 66 yards rushing, and he had like a 30-yard scramble. So really, it's like 10 carries for 40-ish yards. You allow 3.9 yards of carry on the ground. Like, this is a great defensive performance. This is so much better than the defensive performance against the Eagles, where everyone was like, man, this is an amazing defensive performance. I look at this, right? So 326, 4.4 yards per play, 3.9 yards per rush, 40 minutes time of possession. Let's look at the Eagles game, because everybody was like, man, this was such a good job by the defense. In this one, the defense gives up 460 yards of offense on 67 plays. The Eagles had the ball for 8 minutes less. They averaged 6.9 yards on the ground for 172 yards. So, like, if you look at these two right here, then it's not even close, right? It's very obvious what was the better defensive performance. So I'm kind of surprised that people are saying this wasn't a good performance. This was, I thought, one of the best performances from the defense this entire year. New coach, a lot of talk of new players and draft prospects, but nothing on the new head coach. Rizzi has been a fine Band-Aid, but he's not the answer. Who do we want? Let's see. Yeah, Haener, tough, man. The draft. I think we just need to draft O-line. I believe Rattler can be decent if he has an O-line and receivers. Well, one, you're definitely not drafting around Spencer Rattler. But at this point, I'm almost like most cool with the offensive line. We need, like, if you told me we could draft a top receiver or a top guard, I'm taking the receiver. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, the MVS, Cedric Wilson, Dante Pettis, that cannot be the thing. So, yeah, draft the next Brock Bowers, draft a receiver, draft a defensive player, draft an edge. Like, the last thing we really kind of need is an offensive line. We're kind of chill at offensive line, for the most part. Or you can certainly get that in the second round. You can certainly get a guard in the second or third round. We have got to have impact players. We have got to have somebody off the edge or a true interior defensive lineman, since Brian Brzee is basically just a pure pass rusher. But, let's see here. A little bit of ham. Spencer, Rizzi, cap. I've seen enough. Give the keys to the car to Spencer and Rizzi for the next year or two. We'll be competitive with them somewhat, even whilst interesting. Carr is good enough to keep his job, but unlikely to be good enough to win or get to a playoff game. Apart from when we were 2-0, I had hope watching that in the second half. Who knows what the level ceiling is for the future? That was like a riddle. That was an insane couple of sentences. The Saint is not eliminated yet. The Saint could lose one game, but now need to win out, and the Panthers is officially eliminated playoff. What else do you need to know? What else do you need to know, ladies and gentlemen? I mean, that right there, that's my national anthem. The Saint could lose one game, but now need to win out, and the Panthers is officially eliminated playoff. I mean, that is some beautiful, beautiful words. Why go for 2-point conversion? Can anyone explain that to me? I don't get it. That was so risky. Going through overtime would have made more sense, wouldn't it? Let's see. Yeah, I mean, I had faith we could win OT, but maybe you're right. Yeah, I mean, I just don't, I think a way, I also saw someone say, like, even if it's right, don't do it with the season on the line. Which to me, it's like that makes it even more of a reason to go for it. Like, it's riskier. It is riskier. Again, I'll use like super simple math. If going for it is scarier, but you have a 55% chance of winning, kicking it is less scary, but you have a 50% chance of winning, it's way riskier to kick it, even though it's less scary. Okay? Like, risky and scary isn't the same. Like, if you're playing blackjack and you have 11 and you've got $100 in front of you and you're playing $50 a hand and you're in for 50, so you got 50 back here, your last 50, and you're on 11 and the dealer's showing a 4, you should absolutely double down. Is it scary? Yes, because you're putting your last $50 up there and you may go busted. but it is absolutely the right thing to do. And it's way more risky to sit back and say, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to go all in here. I'm going to play to live another day, or live to play another day. But that's actually the riskier thing to do because it's wrong. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to cut the video off there. I think we showed everything. Yeah, I wanted to show the Spencer Rattler EPA. We have the Jake Haener EPA. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you have any questions about anything, just wanted to cover this from a Reddit standpoint. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.